Hey guys, what's up? He here. Today we're going to be going over a video on how to install a desktop environment into Arch Linux. We're going to be going over 3 desktop environments. Those 3 desktop environments are going to be KDE Plasma, XFCE4, and GNOME. These are all extremely easy to install. They take only about 2, maybe 3 packages. If you followed the video yesterday that I posted about how to install Arch Linux, you should have most of the stuff that you need to install this. But the stuff that's necessary is just Xorg, LightDM, and really nothing else. Maybe your video drivers. If you don't have your video drivers installed, make sure to go look up what your video drivers are, since they're different for everyone. My video drivers are going to be the VirtualBox ones, since I'm working in VirtualBox. Yours are going to be different. I'm going to go ahead and pop into my virtual machine now. I'll see you there. Now that I have my virtual machine booted up, I've logged in. You should get a screen like this if you watched the video yesterday. This is just base stock Arch. This is just a base stock Arch install. Has literally nothing on it. 70 megabytes of RAM being used up. There's going to be a few packages we're going to need to get KDE Plasma up and running. Those packages are Xorg, Xorg-server, LightDM, LightDM GTK greeter, and Plasma. So let's go get sudo pacman. If I could spell, I'm a horrible typer. -s. Xorg, LightDM, GTK-greeter, and the last package we're going to need is Plasma. Now, we're only installing Plasma. We're not going to install the goodies or anything, because if you want to, you can install the Plasma applications. I don't prefer that because it just bloats down the system even more. What I prefer to do is I prefer to just install a terminal emulator in here and a browser, because that's all I'm going to need once I'm in there. That's what I recommend you do as well. Unless you want all those extra applications that come with Plasma, you can do that. Well, anyway, let this run. Just do the defaults for everything, and then just press yes right here and let this run. I'll be right back when it's done. Once this command is finished running, we can clear our screen. We're going to need to do one more thing before we reboot into LightDM. That's actually enabling it on reboot. So type the following command in: sudo systemctl enable LightDM. I'm a horrible typer, but just enable that. Should say created symlink and then that big long directory. Now we can go ahead and reboot our system. Now once we've rebooted our system, it should put us into a GUI, and it's going to take a few minutes to load here. I mean, not a few minutes, just like probably 30 seconds. Every single time you load LightDM for the first time, it's getting configuration files ready, everything like that. Now once we're in LightDM, it's going to look very plain. That's fine. You can customize this later if you want. I don't really care. It's a login screen, not much meaning to me. Go up here to this little button. Make sure it's on Plasma and then X11. Go ahead and give it your password and sign in. You should immediately know your crosshair change and you're loading into your crosshair, your cursor, but you should be loading into KDE. This is in fact the new version of KDE that was just released, obviously. Alright, now that we've learned how to install KDE, now time to move on to XFCE4. Alright, back in here in our fresh install of Arch again. I still have Xorg and Plasma installed, but I'm just going to be starting from the same GUI point. We're just going to need to log in and sudo pacman-s xfce4 xorg xorg-server alacrity LightDM-GTK-greeter. And let's go ahead and get a browser again. This is what I would install because it doesn't come with a browser. XFCE is very light. It's probably the lightest desktop environment that you can get. Go ahead and run this command. Give it your password. Select default for everything and just click install. Once that command is completed, clear the screen. We're also going to want to enable the LightDM system link again. So do sudo systemctl enable LightDM. Should be no lowercase, but I've already done it. LightDM. Oh, I've spelled it wrong as well. My bad. There you go. Sudo systemctl enable LightDM. It should give you some feedback here if you didn't do KDE. I did do KDE, however, and I've already enabled the LightDM service, so it's not going to do it for me. So that's all good. You should get something there though. Once you've done this, you can go ahead and reboot your system. Now we're loading in. We're going to load back into LightDM. It should take just a few seconds here. Once we have LightDM loaded up, it should also look like a very plain screen. Go up here, change this to XFCE if it's not already on XFCE. It should be on XFCE though, seeing as if you didn't install Plasma. Log in, give it a few minutes to load everything, and here we go. We have XFCE perfectly running and installed on the system. We have our Alacrity from earlier, so we can go down here and search. Alacrity's right here. Go ahead and place this on the launcher right there. We have Alacrity. Do a neo fetch to see how much RAM we're actually using up. And about 300 megabytes, so not bad at all for a desktop environment. That's around, honestly, that's around my Xmonad config. Not at idle though. My Xmonad config can get down to, I think, 180 megabytes, but this is still extremely impressive for a desktop environment. Now onto the last and final desktop environment of this video. We're going to be installing GNOME. To install GNOME, we're going to need some of the same packages. So let's do sudo pacman-s exorg lightdm lightdm-dtk-greeter and GNOME. If you want a terminal emulator, obviously do Alacrity, and if you want a browser, you can do Firefox. I've already installed both, and I believe GNOME comes with a lot of extra web browsers, so I don't think it should be an issue if you don't install it right now, but I'd be safe and just install Firefox because you're probably going to be ending up on Firefox anyway. Unless you're a Chrome user, which Chrome, I mean, it's not in the AUR, so, or it's in the AUR, it's just not in the official repos. Go ahead and let this run. It should take just a few minutes. Once that command has ran, you can go ahead and clear the screen. Once that command is ran, you can go ahead and clear the screen. We're gonna need to do another sudo system link enable LightDM if you actually want to load into LightDM. So we do sudo system ctl enable LightDM. Make sure you spell it right. Just like that, and you're good to reboot your system. Once we're loading in, we're obviously going to be loading into LightDM for the third and final time. Now that we've loaded into LightDM, make sure you have GNOME set up here, GNOME on Xorg, and then go ahead and log in. And this is GNOME. That's how to install all three, I'd say, most popular desktop environments for Linux from a base Arch install from no GUI to a GUI in maybe 3 minutes if you watch the video. I personally use XFCE, so that's what I would recommend, but for ease of use, I'd go with KDE. I don't really know why I'd use GNOME or why anyone would use GNOME, but if you like GNOME, it's up to you. I don't really care for it. I just like the simplicity of the other ones. GNOME looks probably the most modern, but I just don't really care for it. I'm going to have a video going up on the channel tomorrow about how to install Xmonad from a base Arch install and get it set up with my specific config files. Because I'm not a professional Haskell programmer, it's definitely a harder language, or more weird language to learn at least. So that's what we're going to do. I have my repos all up on GitHub, so we're just going to pull down a few repositories and use my configurations for Xmonad and Xmobar. If you want to use my Alacrity and my pycom.configs, just know you can use that. You are going to need a special fork of pycom if you want to use my pycom config though. You're going to need the Jonaberg fork, so just keep that in mind when the video comes out. Thank you all for watching. This has been Heat Guys. Peace out.